Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you something a little dramatic, a little bit out there. I'm taking a different approach today. So, here's the gist. Two people going through the exact same burnout journey, but one person cut their burnout levels in half, while the other, their stress doubled. One person breaks free and gets their life back. The other, they stay trapped in a vicious cycle, getting worse every single day. So I wonder, which one are you? So the crazy part, both of these folks, they started with the same high-stakes workload, but the choices they made at each stage determined everything. By the end, you'll see how small self-care choices can cut burnout risk by up to 40%. So let's see where it all begins. Smash that subscribe button if you want more information like this, but I want to get into our 7 stages of burnout and figuring out which person are you? Which person am I? I've been both. So make sure to let us know in the comments. So before we jump into it, these are hypotheticals. That said, they're very, very real stages of burnout and very real paths that we take. They're not too uncommon. So stage 1, the achievement trap. 2 different starting points. So I want you to picture this. 2 people walk into the same company on the same day. Sarah and Mike, and they both got hired for very similar positions. They're both ambitious, hardworking, and ready to crush it. But here's where things get interesting. They approach success completely different from day one. Sarah, she sits down and writes out her first 3 months. She wants to learn the company's systems, build good relationships with her team, and handle her current workload well. She tells herself, hey, if I can master these basics and I can get positive feedback, that's a win. Sarah knows that building strong foundations can take time. And research shows that setting realistic short-term goals like Sarah is setting can reduce burnout by 30%. Mike? He's a little like me. He's already planning his promotion strategy and he wants to prove he's management material within 6 weeks. 6. He sets impossible standards where anything less than perfection means failure. Studies find that this type of excessive early ambition can really double stress levels and accelerate burnout when done improperly. It's great to be ambitious, but you also have to be a little realistic and not beat yourself up over it. And that's where it becomes hard, right? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So this difference in mindset between Sarah and Mike, it creates 2 totally different paths. Sarah focuses on steady improvement in learning from her mistakes, an approach that, again, research shows can lead to 20 to 40% lower burnout rate amongst high achievers. When Sarah hits her realistic goals, realistic being the key word here, she feels motivated, she feels confident, and she's ready to attain that next goal. But when he falls short of his perfection goals, he feels like a failure and he pushes harder. Here's the thing. Healthy achievers focus on progress, not perfection. And I want you to write that down. I think that is vitally important. Healthy achievers focus on progress, not perfection. That simple shift in thinking determines whether you build sustainable success or burn yourself the hell out. I've been in both boats. But in either case, what happens when the first warning signs start showing up? What do? All right. Now stage 2, the self-care warning signs. Who pays attention? 3 weeks into their new jobs, both Sarah and Mike, they start showing the same warning signs. I'm sure you've seen them too. I know I have. They're skipping balanced meals, an established early burnout red flag in recent research. And they're staying up until midnight, right? Answering emails. Sarah notices these changes immediately and starts to get concerned. So Sarah sits down on Sunday night and she blocks out time for meals throughout the week. She sets a hard cutoff for her work emails at 8 p.m. and she schedules her grocery shopping. She treats these like important meetings that can't be moved. Sarah tells herself, if I don't take care of the basics, if I don't take care of myself, everything else starts to fall apart. And she's right, even though we've all probably done it, right? Mike sees these same changes, but he sees them differently. He thinks differently about them. He tells himself, hey, skipping lunch, it just means more time for more important projects. Staying up late, that shows dedication, right? Mike believes that these sacrifices, they're temporary investments for his future success. But within 2 weeks, the results are becoming obvious. Sarah feels energized during the day. She's energized during meetings because she's eating regular meals. She's sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. And research shows that maintaining healthy sleep and nutrition will lower emotional exhaustion by up to 40%. Her clear thinking helps her solve problems faster. Mike starts making careless mistakes, however, because his brain's running on fumes. He gets irritable with his coworkers, with his manager, with anyone he's working with, and he struggles to focus during important conversations. I don't know if you've all been there, but I have. Oh my gosh, man. I could work a 12-hour day when my brain is fried, and I get less done than I work an 8-hour day when I'm getting good sleep and proper nutrition. It's just night and day. Like, my brain just isn't functioning right sometimes. Put it in the comments if you've been there, because it's the worst feeling. So proper nutrition, taking care of yourself, that is all important, especially in today's day and age with working from home and you work 12 hours and you can't get away from work emails. It is so important to disconnect. So all that said, self-awareness at this stage, noticing that these red flags of burnout that could be coming down the road for you, it's really important. And that separates people who recover or who don't even get burned out in the first place from those who spiral into a deeper burnout. And we all know that stuff, stress and burnout, it snowballs. Once it starts, it's just every little thing triggers it. Snowballs going down the hill, getting bigger and bigger, right? But the fact is that it happens, and we know it. So we have to recognize these red flags. Do you have any red flags right now? I ask you to sit back and learn them, whether you're working for yourself or another company from home or whatever. Just start to realize those red flags. So here's the real question. When real workplace pressure hits, that's when the true test begins. So stage 3, the blame game, ownership versus deflection. Sure, we've all done both. So a month into their jobs, Sarah and Mike face their first real major workplace challenge. It's a workplace conflict. Their team, they get harsh feedback from a client, and the manager calls an emergency meeting to discuss what went wrong. These meetings aren't fun. Sarah listens super carefully to the criticism, and she asks specific questions about what the client expected. What were the expectations, and where did this derail? She admits her part in the confusion and says, hey, I should have asked more clarifying questions. I should have asked them up front. So let me figure out how to fix my section. Research shows that admitting to mistakes and learning from them fosters faster skill growth and lowers your burnout risk. Sarah spends the next hour reviewing her work and identifying exactly where she made assumptions, and instead of getting like clear requirements, right? So she's on the right track. Mike, he reacts completely differently. He immediately points out that the client changed their mind 3 times during this project. He blames the marketing team for giving unclear instructions and says the timeline was unrealistic from the start. Mike lists everything that went wrong, but never, not once, does he mention anything he could have done differently. Studies show this deflection behavior correlates with rising depersonalization scores and workplace burnout. So Sarah, uses this conflict as a learning experience and creates a new checklist for future projects so this doesn't happen again. Research on emotional exhaustion demonstrates that workers who take ownership see a 25% faster recovery in job satisfaction. And I can tell you from personal experience, like when something went wrong, if I don't take ownership and I don't try to figure it out, I don't want to show up the next day or the next day or the next day. And in that same vein, Mike becomes increasingly defensive. He's not super happy anymore, and he starts avoiding his manager, which creates additional stress and damaging relationships in the workplace. And I will tell you, I had a high-up manager that if you went into his office at any time and complained, he didn't want to hear it. He wanted to hear solutions. So if you had a complaint, come in with a solution or an answer to it, or he wouldn't listen to you at all. He'd tell you to walk out the door. And I think that's really good advice, because I think just complaining is just complaining. If there's an issue, no matter where that is in the pipeline, whether it's with a client or whatever, come up with a solution before you start complaining, because complaining never does anyone any good, right? So taking ownership separates those who recover and those who spiral deeper into that abyss of workplace burnout. But What happens when the workload itself becomes unsustainable? Stage 4, the priority reset, reassessing versus doubling down. 2 months in, both Sarah and Mike hit a wall. Sarah's working 60-hour weeks and feels exhausted. Mike's pulling all-nighters and making more mistakes than ever. Their current approach clearly isn't working. So what do you do in these situations, I wonder? I know what I do now after pulling all-nighters. So Sarah, she takes the weekend to think deeply about what really matters to her. She asks herself really tough questions, maybe journals it. I'm always journaling. What kind of life do I actually want? What are my core values? Am I living according to what's important to me? And I ask that you do the same. Have you ever done that? It is very important. It's vitally important to know that and to live by your values at work and at home. So I encourage you to do that. So research links actually values-based decision-making on a 30% reduction in burnout systems. If you know your values and you try to stay true to them, then you reduce your burnout symptoms. You reduce stress. Keep saying reduce. You reduce stress. Can't talk this morning, apparently. Sorry about that. So, and Sarah realizes this. She realizes she's been saying yes to everything because she wants to look dedicated. But she's lost sight of why she took that job in the first place and what's important to her. And I don't want you to ever lose sight of what's important to you. Mike sees the same problems, but he reaches a different conclusion. Mike tells himself that success, hey, it requires this sacrifice, and starts taking on additional projects from other departments. Doubling down without rest actually increases emotional exhaustion by up to 20%. And I'm surprised it's that low, according to recent burnout studies. I figured it would be higher. Sarah starts declining non-essential meetings and protects her evenings and weekends for relationships and hobbies that recharge her, which, man, did it take me a long time to figure that out. Sarah feels immediate relief from doing this, from this new alignment between her actions and her values. Mike's being Mike. He accepted 3 new responsibilities and extends his work hours even further. This priority reset reveals who understands sustainable success versus who believes everything must be sacrificed to work. And I don't ever want to be that sacrifice to work person again. I hope you don't either. But the real test here comes when they face their most challenging decision yet. Which brings us to stage 5, the sacrifice spiral. Balance versus everything. 3 months in, both Sarah and Mike face a critical choice. Their boss demands weekend work on a major project. Right when Sarah planned a camping trip with friends, of course, it's when it usually happens, and Mike promised to attend his daughter's soccer tournament. Well, Sarah makes a tough decision. She negotiates with her boss to finish the urgent parts by Friday and handle the rest Monday morning. She protects her weekend plans because she knows those relationships and that outdoor time, they keep her energized and they're very important. Sarah also maintains her evening gym routine and weekly dinner plans and all the dinner dates with her sister. Research shows social support is one of the top predictors of resilience in burnout research. So it can reduce the risk by like 50%. So really, social support is huge. And I've definitely been one to get away from that social support when I'm busy. Just like Mike here, who cancels everything personal. He skips the soccer tournament for his daughter. He works through the weekends and stops his morning runs. Mike tells himself that real success means putting work first always. He cancels his book club, stops calling his parents, and gives up his photography hobby. Here's what happens next. I'm sure it's not going to surprise you. Sarah returns Monday refreshed and ready to go, and she tackles her problems head on with creative solutions. Her balanced approach actually made her more productive because now she's thinking clearly and she's motivated. Her coworkers notice her positive energy and they want to collaborate with her. They want to help her. Let's go. Let's get this thing done. Mike, he becomes increasingly isolated and exhausted. His all or nothing mentality, it backfires. He makes more errors, takes longer to complete tasks, and his relationships suffer, both at work and away from it. His family's feeling neglected, as are his friends, and they stop inviting him places. People who escape burnout understand that sustainable success requires protecting what fuels you, what makes you go. But what happens when both approaches reach their absolute limit? Stage 6, the help factor. Reaching out versus shutting down. So now we're 4 months in. Sarah's been doing pretty well with everything. Mike, he's kind of spiraling, right? So both of them are reaching their breaking point. Sarah feels completely overwhelmed and exhausted. She's crying in her car after work and can barely get out of bed on the weekends. Mike's in the same place. He's having panic attacks, and he hasn't slept properly in weeks. And I don't know if you've ever had a panic attack, but oh my God. I had one time. I did not realize how crazy bad they can be. But if you ever do have a panic attack, get help, talk to someone. Those things are crazy. So Sarah, she swallows her pride and makes some difficult phone calls. She reaches out to her best friend and she admits that she's struggling. She throws it out there. Hard to do sometimes, but definitely do it. She calls her mom and asks for emotional support. Sarah even scheduled an appointment with a therapist because she knows that she needs professional help. Social support, again, is one of the top predictors of resilience in burnout research, and it can reduce risk by up to 50%. So be social. Have those avenues that you can talk freely and openly about what's going on, whether it's your parents or siblings or friends or a therapist or a coach. Highly recommend all approaches. Mike, he stops returning calls from friends and family. When his brother asks how he's doing, Mike says everything's fine, changes the subject. Mike behaves, like I have in the past, cut off all ties, everything's fine, and move on. I think a lot of guys behave that way, right? But he thinks that he should handle this alone. And asking for help shows weakness. Man, that is a very big guy thing. Avoidance correlates with deeper isolation, and it actually worsens symptoms of stress and burnout. Sarah, she starts building a support network. Very crucial support network. Her friends check in regularly and offer practical help like bringing dinner or just talking. Her therapist teaches her stress management techniques. These connections, they give Sarah hope and a reminder that she's not alone in this struggle, and neither are you. Mike pushes everyone away. He declines social invitations and avoids family gatherings. His isolation erodes team trust, which studies link to higher turnover and deepens his despair. Asking for help is not weakness. It's strength, and that separates recovery from complete breakdown. So remember that. Asking for help isn't weakness. Just asking to have a conversation isn't weakness. Hell, I'm here if you need to have a conversation urgently, right? Just reach out. Now comes the moment where everything changes. Stage 7, the final stage, the final choice. Recovery steps versus rock bottom. We're 5 months in. Sarah and Mike have reached the ultimate crossroads. Sarah recognizes she needs to make serious changes and starts implementing concrete recovery strategies. She sets firm boundaries by turning off work notifications after 7 p.m. and she protects her weekends. Sarah begins practicing daily meditation for 15 minutes and takes walking breaks every 2 hours during work, which, here's another pointer for you. I love daily meditation. I do about 12 hours in the morning and 12 hours at night. I wish I did 12 hours in the morning. So Sarah, she makes these specific lifestyle changes, right, to help her cope and to know like, hey man, life is stressful. It's not going to get any less stressful after your first job, right? So make these changes. She meal preps on Sundays. She schedules regular exercise and she creates calming bedtime routine. Within weeks, Sarah feels more focused and optimistic about her future. Mike hits complete rock bottom. He develops severe insomnia and starts having chest pains from stress. Mike's doctor warns him about his high blood pressure, but he continues to work excessive hours. Extreme work hours without rest increases the risk of burnout-related depression per studies. So his marriage suffers, and his kids barely see him. Mike experiences what feels like a complete breakdown and still refuses to change course. We all know people like this. We all may have been like this. Chronic stress without intervention is linked to 15% increase in medical leave. That's a pretty damn big increase, y'all. So the difference becomes stark. Sarah's gradual improvements compound over time. Her mindset shifts from survival mode to growth mode. Mike, his health deteriorates and his relationships crumble. His home life is just as stressful now as his work life. There is no work-life balance. I guess it's just all one. But here's the truth. Burnout recovery isn't about willpower, right? I know we all think it is. It's about making conscious choices and taking consistent small steps toward healing. And recognizing the red flags that burnout is coming. A meta-analysis found structured recovery routines cut sustained burnout by 40%. So you have to recognize it and you have to take steps, small steps, just baby steps, and start getting better to get out of burnout or avoid it completely. Sarah chose recovery through deliberate actions while Mike remained trapped in destructive patterns and kept pushing himself more and more. Both started with identical challenges, but their responses created completely different futures. So in conclusion, the key difference wasn't their situation, but their awareness and their willingness to change course when things got tough and to look from within and really align what they're doing with how they saw themselves and what kind of life they wanted to live and their values. Which path are you on right now? Are you making Sarah's conscious choices or are you following Mike's destructive patterns? Reflect on one small change you can commit to today. If you're stressed out or burned out or you see red flags, just one small thing that you can commit to today. Research shows that even just tiny habits build lasting resilience. So burnout recovery, if you have it or if you see the red flags, it's absolutely possible. And if you're deep in it, I know because I've been there, like completely burned out, come home and face plant on the couch because you just have zero energy left and it's 5 p.m. Like, what the hell? I don't even have the energy to make dinner. So like, give me a protein bar and some milk, right? Like, and at the end of the day, that doesn't even feel good. It feels like you should be making dinner. So there is a way out. There's a path out if you're there. So it requires choosing growth over comfort and seeking help over suffering alone. Reach out, make social connections. Also, what are your values? Start to live to your values. Again, small steps. The earlier you recognize the red flags, the warning signs, or that you're starting to get burned out and even more stressed out, the better your outcome will be. Early self-care interventions reduce burnout by up to 30%. So I would say even if you're not burned out right now, make sure that self-care is part of your regular routine. Make lunches on Sundays, work out, do anything that helps you mentally and physically, because life isn't getting any less stressful, y'all. All right? So make your first choice tonight. What's it going to be? Throw it in the comments. I appreciate you. I know this is a long video, but I hope it was good. I'll see you soon. Later.